Hello, I'm Bettina Cornwell. This is Sponsorship Linked Marketing, and let's talk about shared brand equity. But before we talk about shared brand equity, we need to mention brand equity. So brand equity is a long-standing concept in business. It essentially says we have, over time, developed typically through advertising and actions, assets, and liabilities associated with a brand. The impression is that it's additive. I can put things on, I can take things off, I can develop my brand over time. Shared brand equity suggests that there are brands working together in marketing promotion approaches that then develop a relationship between each other. So shared brand equity can happen in a number of different ways. You might imagine it in product placement in a movie like Top Gun, with Ray-Bans and Tom Cruise. You can imagine it in influencer marketing, in co-branding, and of course, in my favorite topic, sponsorship. So let's talk about shared brand equity and sponsorship. To start, we need brand A and brand B. Obviously, it could be more complex. We begin here. So brand A has a number of characteristics. Over time, they've advertised, they've had a number of relationships with influencers or with endorsers. They have a lot of things happening. They're going to be the sponsor. We've got brand B, though, that has also had a history, has a lot of relationships. It's a sport of some kind, maybe an arena, could be a team, could be something in arts or music. So they each come to a relationship with some history. And to the extent that that history overlaps and has connections already, it makes it somewhat easier. The two brands are then going to work together to develop a relationship that's going to yield shared brand equity. Much of this is managed. They're developing ideas, they're working together, there's promotion in arena, it's on TV, there's advertising within a program, all of the things you can imagine that a partnership might involve. So brand equity being managed and shared brand equity being developed. We can also count on consumers, fans, for developing brand equity for us in posting things from the arena and commenting on things online and developing commentary that, in a way, develops brand equity. And lastly, we can also talk about detracting kinds of things, negative things that might happen that are not producing a positive attitude for the shared relationship, any kind of a scandal. And these things are positive, and this one's a bit negative. I say a bit negative because, interestingly, a detracting event can, over time, be forgotten in terms of its negativity, its valence, and be just remembered as a relationship between the brands, and in a sense contribute positively to memory but negatively to attitude. Okay, so these activities are then producing shared brand equity. And what we mean by that when I think of one brand, I oftentimes remember the other, and vice versa, forward and backward strength and recall. That forward and backward strength is sometimes very helpful because shared brand equity will then influence people. For example, in consumer behavior. Let's think of some brands that have been together for a long time and have developed equity together. For example, Visa and the Olympics. A long-term relationship, you might think of them and remember the Olympics, or think of the Olympics and remember Visa. Adidas and their relationship with FIFA World Cup. Very long relationship. They supply the ball to the game. Maybe you're out shopping and you want to buy a gift for someone. You're thinking of buying a soccer ball. and you think of the World Cup maybe. You think of the brand maybe. One could lead to the other. And you say, oh, that would be a good idea to get a soccer ball for someone that is the same kind of ball played or used in the World Cup. So it can influence your consumer behavior, your top of mind, whatever's in your consideration set going forward for many years. Okay, so let's say they've been together for 10 years, 20, those examples even longer. Shared brand equity, once developed, lasts a long time. And that's important. We have a couple of different empirical studies that tell us that shared brand equity lasts. You still remember the old sponsor even after a new relationship has been started with a new sponsor. That long-term relationship is kind of good for the one that's leaving because they still have this awareness and this thought process of influencing one way and the other. It's not so good for the new sponsor coming in because they have to fight against this awareness that's been developed over time. Particularly hard if they are a direct competitor of the brand having held that relationship in the past. So for a sponsor coming in, if they're not cognizant of that relationship, it's problematic. They need to learn to develop their own unique relationship that will develop their brand equity. And for the one that's leaving, there are lots of opportunities to do things like continue some small relationship that reminds people and keeps the shared brand equity alive. That's shared brand equity in sponsorship linked marketing. Thank you.